Hi there. I was toying which picture to use for this video just now. And possibly this one will be appropriate. And what I want to talk about is what we are, our natural state, and really what's happening when you start that spiritual awakening process. When you have that big spiritual awakening, you are now on the journey of alignment. Because what's happening is now when you have that awakening, you have a third eye, and the third eye opens, and this third eye is the tuning. It's basically you're seeing through God's eye. You have almost like a God self and a human self. And in that spiritual awakening, now your third eye's been open, and now you're aligning with the God self. Because everything's the same thing, you see, just experienced as different. Like the Trinity, the three, the triangle, the God is the life, is the lesson. It's all the same thing. But yeah, in that awakening, you're aligning now with your spiritual self, almost like you've got a heaven self and a human self. It's like, if you want to consider it like that, a you that's in heaven, and that you that's in heaven is aligning you to that state of consciousness that you have in heaven. And as this is going on, a lot of adjustments are taking place, and this is what's going on with me since just under 10 years now. And as these adjustments are taking place, what you're going through is DNA activations. And it's like someone's cut the cord and adjusted it so you're becoming a higher dimensional being. But in this adjustments with the DNA activations, you'll go through some emotional changes, you'll go through physical body changes, and this is the proper path. People talk of Kundalini and energy. Well, the proper path to getting those things is a spiritual awakening. And how do you get that? Well, it's all to do with deciding that the outward world is an illusion, and then you decide to just be present and to go within. And then that awakening happens, but it happens when you decide. And then when you decide that, you're on this alignment, and you're entering into pure ecstasy. But in entering this pure ecstasy, the thing that you must get rid of, or not get rid of it as such, because you can't get rid of it because it doesn't exist, but you've got to diminish or work on your ego, and you've got to work with that. You've got to work a lot on your ego, because the ego is the thing that really hurts us. When we're in the lower dimensions, the lower self, the ego has been programmed by the world to take us in a certain direction, so it keeps us away from our divinity. This is why food is heavily promoted in shops, and why people are programmed to eat as much as they do. It's not because food's good for you, it's because it's a game. Whatever the system is showing us, you can guarantee to do the opposite. Because whatever they're showing you is a game. If the Bible or any religion or anything was for our benefit, we would not see it. And this is what you realize when you're going through that awakening, and it's a big shock to the system. Like yesterday, I was looking up the guy from Pink Floyd, it's Sid Barrett, and it's obvious to me what happened to him. They said that they thought he went crazy. No, he didn't. I personally believe he went through a spiritual awakening. I think that's what happened. And that's why he lost a lot of desire to play music, I think, you know. I think what happened to him, he was involved in psychedelics and an awakening happened. And I think when you look at that band, you know, they are a more awake band, and I think that they probably awakened through him. But awakenings happen in all different ways. For, you know, there's all, you hear it all the time, some stories that sometimes that happens through drugs, and then what the drugs does, it helps to expand your awareness until you're, and then it aligns you, and then you end up not wanting to take the drugs anymore because you're now getting these relentless energies. But you know, these relentless powers and energies and all stuff is within everyone, and it's all about just listen to your soul and not listen to your ego. Because like I say, the ego is an illusory thing that doesn't exist, but it's the illusion of existence. That's what the ego is. It's that thing that, because everything comes from nothingness, meaning that nothing exists, that it's a dream, but the ego is the thing that thinks it exists. And that's what the ego is, and that's why you can't get rid of it. You can't get rid of something that doesn't exist. Non-existence is always there, because it isn't there. But yeah, in the spiritual awakening, when you decide to be present, and when you decide to awaken, that's what you're going through. You're going through this alignment process, and like I say, that ego, the ego is the thing that has been programmed and designed to keep us away from this divinity that we are, so that we don't feel our best. You know, we are programmed to think in certain ways. And yeah, when you're going through that awakening process, you're realizing these illusions, you're realizing these ways of thinking, these fearful ways. We are programmed to be in fear. And this fear keeps us in a mind prison, right? You know, and this fear, the kind of fear that I'm talking about is an egotistical fear. You know, where people look to take refuge in things. And when you're doing that, it doesn't matter if it's sex, relationships, business, money kind of things, drugs, alcohol. It's all external things that we're running to, because it's the reason we do it is because the ego does this when there's a lot of subconscious trauma. When the subconscious trauma, that subconscious trauma has its own ego, and its own ego is terrified, and it will look to external things. And it's all about practicing presence. It's all about being aware that when you're seeing these external things, it's another reminder to be present. And in that presence, you actually find the answer. And as you're finding the answers more and more, you're realizing that the most important thing you can do is to just be present. And to simply be meditation by being present. When you're present all the time, you're meditation all the time. Meditation is not a separate state from what you are, it's what you are. And when you meditate on stuff, you understand about stuff. And like I say, this journey that I'm trying to share and trying to repeat on these videos is the journey I'm going through, and it is the journey of what we are. And the true self, the true nature of the self, are, you know, without us being programmed, is a state of euphoria, of ecstasy, of love. It's like a realm of love that we really are. And this is what you're aligning with once you start going through that spiritual awakening process. Once you decide, make that conscious decision to just go within and to be present, and then you're on this alignment where your spiritual self is leading the way, and it's making these adjustments and putting you through these DNA activations. And yeah, you're entering into love, you because the true self is just bliss and love and euphoria. You know, the ego has been, like I say, the ego's been trained and programmed and trained in a certain way to get us away from that, to get us to think and perceive reality in a certain way, so that we're quite fearful. And when you're fearful, you can't enter this abundance love state. This love and this abundance, this euphoria is only accessed when you start to understand that there's nothing to fear. That fear is really an illusion that we create ourselves because we've been programmed to. But you can get yourself out of that simply by just getting out of it yourself. What we choose to feel is a choice. Everything's a choice. Slavery is a choice. Freedom is a choice. Everything is our choice, and we create our own reality. And once you start being present, you then start awakening, you then start aligning, and that's when you're entering into this euphoric abundance, which is the true self. And this is the path of awakening. This is the path of ascension. And everything is within. And I'm just going to leave it there. Thank you for watching and listening. Thank you.